You remove a car wrap by heating the vinyl to somewhere around 130 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, lifting a corner and pulling it back on itself at a shallow angle about 15 degrees. Then you clean up whatever adhesives left behind with a citrus-based remover or some isopropyl alcohol. That's it. That's the whole method in 2 sentences. So why does this take some people an entire weekend and other people 2 full days of swearing at their own hood? Because the method isn't the hard part, the details are. And the biggest detail, the one that changes everything, is how long that wrap's been sitting on the car. A wrap that went on last spring behaves nothing like a wrap that went on 5 years ago. Same vinyl, same technique, completely different job. Let's walk through it properly. First, what you actually need before you touch anything. Removal is cheap on materials and expensive on patience, so gather everything up front. You do not want to be halfway through a hood with vinyl flapping around while you're driving to the hardware store. You need a heat source. A heat gun with variable temperature control is ideal. A propane torch works if you genuinely know what you're doing with one, and if you're unsure whether you know what you're doing with one, you don't. A hair dryer will technically work on small panels, but understand what you're signing up for. A hair dryer on a full car means you're going to be out there all weekend and probably into Monday. You need an infrared thermometer. This one people skip, and it's the one that costs them. Guessing at temperature is exactly how folks scorch their clear coat. They're cheap, get one. Plastic razor blades or a nylon scraper. Never steel. I'll say that again because it matters, never steel. A steel blade will find your paint the first time your hand slips and it doesn't miss. Adhesive remover. 3M's adhesive remover, rapid remover, or just 70% isopropyl alcohol if the residue's on the lighter side. Microfiber towels, more than you think you need. Adhesive loads them up fast, and a saturated towel just smears the mess around instead of lifting it. In car soap and water for the final wash. Now the process itself. Step 1. Wash the car first. I know you're about to strip vinyl off it. Why wash it? Because grit is the enemy. Grit trapped under your fingers or under a scraper turns into scratches, and those scratches are permanent. A clean surface also lets you actually see your edges and seams clearly, which matters more than you'd think. Step 2. Work one panel at a time. Heat a section roughly the size of a dinner plate. Check it with your thermometer and keep that gun moving. Never park the heat in one spot. What you're going for is vinyl that's gone soft and slightly stretchy. That's the sweet spot. Vinyl that's too hot does the opposite of what you want. It shrinks, it tears, and it leaves its adhesive behind on your paint. Too cold, it won't budge. Too hot, it falls apart. That's why the thermometer isn't optional. Step 3. Lift an edge. Plastic blade or your fingernail right at a corner. Door edges, mirror caps, bumper seams, those are your usual starting points. That's where the installer's edges are, and that's where the film wants to let go. Step 4, and here's where most people go wrong. Pull the vinyl back over itself at about 15 degrees to the paint. Not straight up, not 90 degrees shallow. Here's why that matters, and once you understand this, the whole job clicks. When you pull straight up, you're yanking the vinyl away from its own adhesive, and the adhesive stays behind, glued to your car. When you pull back at a shallow angle, the vinyl peels off and it drags its adhesive with it. Same wrap, same car. One angle leaves you with 2 hours of cleanup, and one leaves you with 12. It's the single highest leverage thing in this entire process. Step 5. Keep the heat moving with the peel, and specifically heat ahead of where you're pulling, not behind it. You're warming up the vinyl you're about to remove, not the space you've already cleared. If the film starts tearing into little confetti pieces on you, that's the vinyl telling you it's gone brittle. Don't fight it. Slow down, drop your expectations, and accept smaller pieces. Step 6. The residue. Spray your adhesive remover, let it dwell for a minute, actually let it sit, don't spray and immediately wipe, then take it off with a clean microfiber. And repeat rather than scrubbing hard, the chemistry does the work. Elbow grease just heats up the residue and pushes it around. Step 7. Wash and inspect. Adhesive removers leave an oily film behind that'll interfere with any wax or sealant you put down afterward. So wash the whole car, dry it, and then get under good light and really look at that paint. Now about wrap age, because this is the part that decides whether your weekend plan is realistic. Vinyl has a service life. Past that point, the plasticizers that keep the film soft and flexible have migrated out of it, and what's left is basically a brittle shell. And down here on the Gulf Coast, that clock runs faster than it does up north. Between the UV load, the humidity, and cars that bake and open lots off T-Chupatulas all summer long, a wrap in New Orleans ages harder than the exact same film would in a milder state. Same product, shorter fuse. So here's roughly what you're looking at. Under 3 years, it peels in big satisfying sheets with minimal residue. Call it 3 to 5 hours. 3 to 5 years, some tearing, moderate adhesive left behind. 6 to 10 hours. 5 to 7 years, now it's breaking into strips and you've got heavy residue. 12 to 20 hours. Over 7 years, it shatters into small pieces and there's adhesive everywhere. 20 hours plus, and honestly, that's usually a 2-day job. That's not a gentle curve, that's a wall. Now the question everybody actually wants answered: will removal damage your paint? On factory paint that's in good condition, no. Quality cast vinyl from 3M or Avery is engineered to come off cleanly, and here's the part that surprises people. The paint under a wrap is usually in better shape than the exposed panels around it. It's been shaded from UV for years. The trouble starts with repainted panels. Aftermarket paint that wasn't cured properly or a cheap respray over an old repair, that stuff can lift off with the vinyl in sheets, not chips, sheets. A few other risk factors worth knowing about. Existing rock chips and scratches give the adhesive extra grip so they can widen during the peel. Rust bubbles under the paint will come off with the film the wrap was holding them down. Clear coat that was already failing before the wrap went on is going to keep right on failing. And overheating with the gun can bubble or discolor the finish, which is your own doing and entirely avoidable with a thermometer. This is one of the reasons we're straight with customers about what goes under a wrap in the first place. Surface condition matters going in, and it matters just as much coming out. So when should you just hand it over? A 1-year-old color change wrap on a sedan is a reasonable weekend project if you're careful and patient. Past that, the math shifts. Bring it to a shop if the wrap is more than 4 years old. If you're pulling branded graphics off a work vehicle before a sale or a rebrand. If you've got a fleet of vans or trucks where downtime costs you more than labor does. If the vehicle's leased and it has to go back in original condition. And absolutely if there's any repainted panel on that car. Shops around New Orleans typically run somewhere between $500 and $2,500 for a full removal, depending on age and condition. That's a wide range, and it's wide for a real reason. A brittle 7-year-old wrap is a genuinely different job than a 2-year-old one. It's not the same work priced differently. It's different work. One last thing, and this is the piece people miss. Most folks don't remove a wrap just to have bare paint. They remove it because they want something else. And once that paint is bare and clean, you're standing at the single best moment to make the next decision. A lot of drivers around Metairie and Gretna go straight into a new custom design while the surface is already prepped. No sense doing that prep twice. Others put down clear protective film to guard the paint they just uncovered, especially across the front end, where I-10 debris does the most damage. And if the paint underneath needs correction, do it now, not later. A polish on bare paint is an afternoon. A polish after a fresh wrap is down means peeling the whole thing back off. Same work, wildly different cost, and the only difference is timing. So that's the job: heat, shallow angle, patience, and an honest read on how old that wrap really is. If you'd rather not spend your weekend out there with a heat gun and a stack of microfiber towels, give us a shout. We're Car Wrap New Orleans, and we can tell you what your specific wrap is likely to involve before you commit to anything. The number is 504-766-3480. That's 504-766-3480. Take care of that paint, and we'll talk soon.